Hey class, I'm joined today by my best friend James, who recently earned his optimized coaching certification. We will be discussing Philippe Pinneker's et al. March 2022, potato protein ingestion increases muscle protein synthesis rates at rest and during recovery from exercise in humans study. I chose this study because of the increased attention towards protein alternatives and the effect on muscle maintenance or growth. Before we go in and start asking James some questions, I want to explain what muscle protein synthesis is. And I believe the best explanation is the analogy from Dr. Stuart Phillips, where he describes muscle protein turnover, which is what happens with our muscle on a daily basis. He uses a brick wall as an analogy, and that represents our muscles. So if you add bricks to the wall, that's muscle growth. If you take bricks away from the wall, that's going to be muscle loss. So in short, if the rate of the bricks coming in is higher than the rate of the bricks coming out, you're going to be promoting muscle growth. If you are going to have a higher rate of bricks coming out versus the bricks coming in, you're resulting in muscle loss. Why this is important and why it's related to the article is when we consume protein, the natural process of muscle protein synthesis occurs where our body produces protein to repair muscle damage from intense exercise. Now, there are other studies that kind of talk about timing of protein consumption, but that's going to have to be another topic for another day. And for right now, I kind of just want to point out some highlights from the study before I ask James my first question. So there's three things that I want to highlight about the study. The first one is that it was kind of a gold standard. It was a randomized, double-blind, parallel group design. There were 24 healthy young male participants, and they ingested high-quality plant-derived protein concentrate, potato isolate, and then the other groups were consuming animal-derived protein isolate, which is whey isolate or milk concentrate. The third point is the participants served as their own control, and how they did that was they used one leg as their exercise leg, and then the other leg, the non-exercise leg, was their control. One of the other things that I like to point out about their exercise protocol was that it was a randomized exercise protocol where the participant didn't know if they were going to be using their dominant leg or their non-dominant leg when they were going to do that strength test that day. All right, so with that background on muscle protein synthesis and a little bit of highlights from the study, I'm going to ask James his first question. James, given all the attention around plant-based and animal-based protein, based on the study, name one pro and one con that you believe would be important for the general public to know.
Hi, Regina. Excuse me. Thanks for inviting me on today. This was a great study. I really enjoyed reading it. One of the things that I find to be a pro is learning that the potato protein profile is really close to being comparable to that of the milk proteins at the 30 grams of protein. The total amino acids on it here, you got my papers mixed up. There we go. So the total amino acids for the potato came out to 23.2, whereas on the milk, it came out to 25.3. So showing that the milk is still 8% higher for total amino acids. But for the general population, the profile would fit as a good alternative to the milk base, especially if they supplement with other proteins that would make it more complete.
Right, so just to kind of reiterate what you said was you felt that the study was excellently done, but it was also great to see progress in other protein alternatives for the general public. But more importantly, I think what I heard you say is someone who's going to use plant-derived protein as their sole source of protein intake, especially from an exercise perspective, would actually need to supplement to get a complete amino acid profile to be comparable to the milk, at least from an 8% perspective based off of the study's statistics. Is that right?
Yes, definitely.
Cool. I completely agree. What about the con that you found from the study?
One of the things that I would find that would help this study out is to have a larger sample population. It was very limited to 24 individuals that were of a healthy and fit lifestyle, didn't smoke. And so to get a better idea of how this study or the potato protein would affect a more general population, younger, older, works out, doesn't work out, would need to be done to pull a better conclusion on the benefits for the general population.
Right. And I think one of the things, because you're really great at math, was you actually did the math, because the study basically stated because they were using a high quality protein, plant-derived protein concentrate, which was the potato, that if somebody were to actually try to apply this using whole or raw foods, they would actually have to eat, what was it, like 200 pounds of raw potato in one sitting to hit that 30 grams. And so obviously that's not going to be viable for our general public, right?
You're right. Yeah. And it's 1.5% protein per fresh weight of a potato. So yeah, that'd be 200 pounds to, get that 30 grams. Luckily there is a way to get the potato concentrate. It is from potato juice, from the extraction of the starches from potatoes. So it is a waste byproduct. So it's actually good that they're finding new uses or additional uses for byproducts from that process.
Yeah, that was actually really great. I loved reading that in the study as well. So we're short on time, but I obviously appreciate your time. And again, you're sharing your thoughts on this. But for everyone, we're going to conclude this interview. I don't want you to walk away with 3 things. One is that they did 30 grams of protein for each of the servings when they were doing that in the study. 2, again, I can't emphasize enough that it was high quality protein isolate, whether that be potato or the milk, and it was whey, that it was high quality. And then more importantly, we want to make sure that we are consuming sustainable sources of protein to ensure adequate muscle protein synthesis so that we can maintain or grow our muscles, since it's so important in our life. So thanks again, James. I appreciate it. In class, I hope you enjoyed our little interview.